You see what gets me so much about all this esoterica, all this astrology, numerology, tarot, all these occult practices, all these divinations. The funny thing about them is that although they may apply to everyone, everyone may not apply to them. I mean, for example, it might just be, well, not might just be, it is for certain the case that because of the configuration of my natal chart, I so happen to be interested in studies of the occult, etc. And of course, the topics that I cover and how I see things is based on, as I said before, my fingerprint, my signature, my natal chart. Now, for me, the paradoxical thing, if that's the word I can use, is the fact that you'll have other people whose natal charts may not allow them to appreciate what I appreciate in regards to metaphysics. And because of that, they may not have or appear to have as much insight into people and things as much as someone like me who's keen may do. And that's not to say that I know more than other people or whatever, but it's just simply the facts, the case that I may delve deeper into certain things that other people may not. So my view of life, my perspective may come across differently or come across from a wider scope, which could be misunderstood a lot of times. And that is really interesting for me, because when we do talk about the rising of consciousness as a collective, not on a personal level, because ultimately it has to be on a collective because we're all connected. So when we talk about that, bearing in mind what I've just said about the fact that you will have some people who may not delve into the deeper meanings of life, the deeper things of life, how on earth are we going to get to that place where as a collective we all ascend? Because it's one thing to ascend on a personal level, but if you don't ascend on a collective level, you're not going anywhere. And that's something that I've had to come to accept. It's very difficult. Did you hear that? You can ascend on a personal level, but ultimately if the collective doesn't ascend, you cannot ascend. So you're stuck here with everybody else because we're all in it together. So no wonder the Bible will talk about the end of times and apocalypse, the unveiling, coming soon, because it really is coming soon, although that was probably written over 2,000 years ago. And I can say the same today. It's going to happen soon. But I now know that it's not something that may happen overnight. Reason being is because of the need for collective consciousness rise. So if, for example, I am to ascend on a personal level, ultimately that doesn't mean anything, because if my brothers and sisters here on earth with me do not ascend, I don't ascend. So how am I and how are others able to help the collective ascend? Well, ultimately we can't. You can, in a sense, by just doing what you do and ascending on a personal level, but until the collective ascends, that means nothing. So what can you do? You can't do anything but wait, because everybody is on their own journey, on their own path. And so no matter how long it takes, they'll get there. I like to use the analogy that a barber once told me years ago. He told me that, I'm saying years ago to make it sound classic, probably about a year or two ago. He told me that life is a mountain, and at the top of the mountain is God, or what I would say Zen. That's you at the top. That's integration. That's when you know yourself. That's know thyself. That's when you're a God. That's when you're an ascended master. That's when you get to the level that Jesus got to. So you have a mountain, that's life. At the top is God. there are so many different paths to the top of the mountain. And it doesn't matter how long it takes for one to get to the top. All that matters is that they do. And because in reality there is no such thing as time, God knows how long it will take for the whole collective to rise, to ascend. So this has nothing to do with time. So when it comes to us being under time, because we are in this 3D reality, that may just take aeons, ages. And that's a sobering truth. The fact that there are people who may be more advanced on a conscious level than others, but have to wait for the others to get to that same stage so that they can all ascend. Yeah, it could take ages, but that's the reality. So that's why you had masters like Jesus coming and ascending in front of our eyes as an example, something to spark us, something to ignite. But he did say that he will come again. And the reason he said that is the mere fact that he knew that himself ascending personally, ultimately for the universe, does nothing. He has ascended. But the whole collective has to ascend. That's why he came to show us an example. That's why he came and did what he did here. Because we all need to ascend. Not you, not that person, not that other person, all of us. And until we all do that together, we're all stumped, literally. So that's something to take heed of. When it comes to that's why they say don't keep things to yourself in regards to spirituality. Don't keep some religious folk may want to keep their whole whatever. I wouldn't even want to call it spirituality, but they sort of think that they're better off because they have a relationship with God or whatever, and they're somehow better off than others, and they have to protect that special relationship or something. But we have to spread that. We have to spread the love. We have to spread the knowledge, the wisdom, everything, and we have to embody it, because until all of us ascend, none of us do, whether you ascend on a personal level or not. So take heed.